As federal investigators work to find out what caused a cargo ship to crash into Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge early yesterday, ports across the world are coming up with contingency plans, finding other places to redirect their vessels. And one of the ports opening its arms happens to be in New Haven. That's where we find Fox 61's Julia LeBlanc joining us now live. Julia.
Hi, good evening to you both. Well, right now, the Connecticut Port Authority is coming up with a contingency plan because this port right here, the Port of New Haven, could be called upon to accept some redirected ships initially meant to go through Baltimore.
This is the kind of tragedy that can happen almost anywhere.
Connecticut's Port Authority Director Ulysses Hammond watched in horror as the bridge in Baltimore collapsed on Tuesday, likely taking at least 6 lives.
Our thoughts are definitely with those families that have been affected, and in particular, those workers who were actually doing their jobs on the bridge at that time.
But now Hammond has to pivot that empathy into action because ships that can't get through the harbor in Baltimore are being diverted throughout the region. And the longer that goes on, Connecticut could be called upon.
Some of those calls have already been made with respect to our availability in New Haven in particular.
Hammond says New Haven's deepwater port is the second largest and busiest in New England, able to accommodate ships ranging from 20,000 to 40,000 tons.
We have capacity, and we are willing and ready to accommodate any way we can with respect to our assistance to Baltimore at this time.
And while Connecticut is prepping its ports, many who live here are curious about the safety of our bridges above them.
If there was anything that ever came out of a bridge inspection that was deemed critical, we would shut the bridge down and would not allow traffic over it.
Josh Morgan with the Connecticut Department of Transportation says the state has more than 5,500 bridges inspected every other year, and the state of the structures, he says, is getting better.
So in 2012, about 10% of the state's bridges were rated poor, and now we're about 5%.
And as the state works to repair those poorly rated bridges, Morgan says they're not a danger to drivers and are still deemed safe.
What happened in Baltimore was absolutely tragic, and I don't know if there's any infrastructure in the world that could withstand a 1,000-foot container ship, a massive ship, hitting one of those critical support pieces of the bridge.
Now back out here live near the harbor, Hammond says that if Connecticut is called upon to help out, it wouldn't happen for weeks or even months from now, with the investigation in Baltimore really just beginning. We're live in New Haven tonight. Julia LeBlanc, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.